how to win the war over fear and anxiety. I'm sharing with you guys the actual how. I'm not giving you a bunch of fluff here. Like I said, from dealing with this for over 20 freaking years, I still battle it, but I've won the freaking war because I don't let it stop me. How do I do it? I start taking freaking action. It doesn't go away, but you continue to get better at it and quicker, just like this example of being aware of it to guard your mindset. Now, this is something you do have control over. The things that are quick that have worked phenomenally for me. Oh my God, game changers. A few years ago, we went deep into the jungles of the Yucatan, which is in South America and Mexico. It's like on the Caribbean, but this is on the parts that are like deep in the jungles where they have the Mayans that you know of and the pyramids, but also they have where we went to is these cenotes, which is this crazy underground cave system that's filled with water. And you can swim in it, you can snorkel in it, but something really crazy happened that I'm about to share with you. And first of all, shout out to my two teenage daughters who came with me on this. Man, they're brave. When you first go in, so we're with like a tour of like 6 people, and we have a tour guide. It was my daughters and I, the other people. At first, you climb down the stairs like deep into the cave, and it's amazing because you look up and there's like a hole and the sun shines down, and then the stairs go into the water. You put your snorkels on and stuff, and it's all lit up when you first get in there. And we got to snorkel for a minute. You could see some fish, you could see the bottom, it was sand. But then we start actually going on the tour, and we're all like following the tour guide, and he's having us like swim through deeper into the cave. And as you get deeper in, like you can still, they have a lot of it for this area, like lit up. So you can still see like the bottom. You're swimming, you look up, you can see the stalagmites of like the cave coming down. It was crazy and beautiful. And then we got deeper in. And this part is where it started to get crazy, because as we got to this part, he's like, okay, everyone, we're about to go through this like really tight part of the cave right now. And right now you can see the bottom, but where we go, he's like, the water, it jumps off a cliff and all of a sudden gets like over 200 feet deep. And he's like, and this part, we don't have the parts where the electric can come through. So there's not lights in this area. So it's going to get dark. And I have my flashlight in the front in the tour, and I have this rope. He had this rope that he put out that he had like all 6 of us holding on to through this part, that basically we follow him and we're like pulling on the rope. And he's like, we just have to keep going forward. And so we go into it. It's getting darker. It's getting tighter. And then like up above where it was all high, it's like closing in and closing in to where it's only like you're in the water, you're like snorkel, your mask, you're like looking up, you can breathe, but you don't have much space. The walls are getting tighter. And then down below you, all blackness. And it's hundreds of feet deep. And I remember having this moment of like extreme claustrophobia, and then also thinking like, oh my God, like it's 200 feet plus deep down there. Like what freaking creatures or what could be coming underneath there? There could be like monsters under there that will eat me. And what's crazy is like you could start like panicking and like bash yourself and hit your head and like drown. And then also you could like, I couldn't like turn around and freak out and go backwards because it was all dark. Like the only light was right in front of us with a tour guide. So like the only thing you could do was literally grab the rope and just keep going forward. Like one step at a time, one armful at a time. And then literally we see this huge light at the end of the tunnel, And we come out the other side and it opens up to this amazing giant cenote that is even like famous to the Mayans there. They called it like this healing spring, and it was crazy. It was like being in another world. You could see like the because the sun all of a sudden breaks through there, and it's like you're in this huge underground lake, and the water's so fresh. But it you can see like it mixes with salt water, so there's like these tropical fish swimming around. All of a sudden, it's not deep anymore. You can see the bottom. You can stand in a lot of it. It was incredible. And what I learned was these areas go on for miles and miles, and there's actual cave explorers that, oh my God, that have adventured into those with like oxygen and tanks and actually swam all the way through for miles and miles and miles to where it literally leads out at some point to the Caribbean Ocean, which blows my mind. And they also mentioned many have died doing that. But what I wanted to talk about today is that moment of when you're feeling that moment I was talking about in the cave where it got where I was so squeezed in and I couldn't see what was below me. It was like hundreds of feet deep, and I felt claustrophobic, like I couldn't move. And it reminded me so much of today's show, which all of you voted on. Thank you so much. We put it up there. All of you commenting, reacting. It's been amazing. Keep doing it. Keep loving, keep sharing the show. I love interacting with all of you. You all voted for this. It was like we did two different options. One was how I made my first million starting at $15 an hour. And the other one was how to win the war over fear and anxiety, which 72% of you voted for this. And I know this is real, and I love talking about this because I've battled with extreme anxiety, panic attacks, and fear for over 20 freaking years. I battled with anxiety before anyone really ever knew they may have known what it was, but no one ever really talked about it. I had no idea what in the hell a panic attack ever was. No one ever talked about those the first time I had that back in the day, where it was like that cave times 1,000 because all of a sudden I'm laying in bed out of nowhere and it was more like a semi truck just stopped on my chest and someone put a freaking bag over my head. And I'm like, I couldn't breathe. My heart's like, I literally thought I was having a full blown heart attack. I'm sweating because that's what a full blown panic attack, which can come out of nowhere, feels like. It's terrifying. And this started when I was 17. I've been dealing with this for over 20 years. And on today's show, I'm going to talk to you about really the top 4 ways of how, from experience, to win the freaking war over fear and anxiety. And I throw fear in there because fear 100% coincides with anxiety. Everything I'm talking about applies to anxiety and fear because they're twins. The first thing, let's just get right to it. It's overthinking. Oh my God. And by the way, this is something I still deal with today. It never completely goes away. There's also healthy forms of anxiety which you need, which help drive you. We can talk about that more later, but going into overthinking, there's a quote that I love. I think it's by Picasso. I hope I'm not misquoting it, but it's worry is a misuse of your imagination. Oh my God, I love that quote because anxiety and overthinking, when you're just sitting there and you're feeling like paralyzed and all these freaking crazy thoughts are coming through our head and we're overthinking everything to death. And I'm talking not even big things to little things to like, you can get so much in your head to like, oh my God, I have to call this person. I'm afraid to like talk on the phone. Or overthinking. I had this conversation with this person yesterday. I wonder if they noticed that I said this and I was thinking that. And I was breathing hard and having a panic attack and sweating. And do they think I'm crazy? And like all these things are going through your mind. And I still have them come through my mind at times. I've just learned by what I'm sharing with you of how to get better at dealing with them so it doesn't keep you freaking paralyzed and in isolation, which I've been through all that, and stops you from going after your purpose and your dream and living a life that you're supposed to live. Man. So, anyway, the overthinking part. One example that I use is a key when you're overthinking is just to start freaking taking action, like doing something versus doing nothing. By doing nothing, I mean sitting there and laying there and just dwelling on the thing. It's like you're stuck in a time loop and you're just overthinking and you're dwelling, and you can be stuck in it for hours, days, months. It can just keep going. And the way to start breaking free is you just freaking take action. It can be as simple as getting up and like going outside and going on a walk. Like, I'm serious. Also, if when it comes to like a project, like say you're getting ready to, you have to clean your office or your room or your closet or pack for a vacation. For these types of things, like when my office gets so crazy and cluttered, I know that I need to clean it because you move all that clutter out and it can help you be more productive. It helps clear that space in your mindset and that mental energy, and I can start overthinking that. And overthinking is the enemy of success. And it also leads to procrastination. And what I'll do when my office or something totally needs cleaning, I'll start like making a list of like, okay, I'm going to start by, I get like so overwhelmed by it's crazy. I can do these huge things in life, and then stuff like this will like overwhelm me, and I'll start making a list like, okay, I'm going to start by like moving the boxes, and oh, I need to get some trash bags, and I'll just keep doing it. I'll overthink and I'll procrastinate. Meanwhile, a week could go by. I haven't even started cleaning my office. Okay, so how do I do it? I start taking freaking action. I go into my office and I go into the corner where I need to start. I start moving crap. I start throwing crap away. It takes time. Gradually, a little of it gets cleared out. I don't keep overthinking it. I don't keep making lists. I just keep doing it and doing it. And the next thing you know, it's freaking done in a couple of hours. While I could have sat there for 2 more weeks making 5,000 more stupid lists and got nothing done and been stuck in my own mind and procrastinating. And by the way, this still happens. I'm just more aware of it now. I'm going to share that with you more later on. And when I talked about that quote, worry is a misuse of your imagination, because we can over worry into the future. Over worrying in an unhealthy way and obsessing about things that haven't happened yet, in the worst case scenario, paralyzing you from doing anything, is why overthinking can kill your success. Now, there's also a healthy part of this, of why we're wired this way, where you're actually looking into the future. And I don't say I'm only an optimist or a pessimist. I say I'm a realist, because as a business owner, having a family, like I continue to look into the future and think about in a real way, okay, what are some of the hope for the best, but also prepare for the worst. So I'm not ignorant. So I'm prepared the best that I could be. Like building up a savings from my company for months and making sure at a point, I remember when we used to not have enough in reserves and I'd be coming home like it in tears, wondering how we're going to meet payroll. It was realistic to think, okay, looking into the future, I need to start building up some months of cash reserves so that when we run into these things, we have cash reserves built up. That's like a healthy worry, a healthy fear, a healthy use of your imagination that prepares you to be productive for the future. But an unhealthy thing is if you're sitting there and you're overthinking about, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with the next election? What if this next president gets elected? What am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to do anything with my company. My life's going to fall apart. I shouldn't do anything. And you just curl up into a ball and you do nothing. And it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy, which a self fulfilling prophecy is basically you continually believe something, and because you do, it actually becomes true because you bring it on yourself. Because by overthinking and over worrying and doing nothing, your business starts falling apart. And everything you were worrying about actually becomes true as a result of your own self fulfilling prophecy because you did nothing. Of course, it fell apart. It didn't have anything to do with who got elected, maybe 2% of it, but the fact you sat there shaking in a ball and did nothing, it didn't work on your company for all those months when you could have been putting that energy and that focus into building your business or going after your dream or going to school, whatever it may be, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the key is you start taking action, one little step at a time. Do something. Also, that worry is when you're freaking replaying those movies from the past. You're still not doing something today because you're replaying a movie from something that happened in your past like 20 freaking years ago. The past isn't here anymore. You can't change it. I'm not saying the past isn't important. Use the past to learn from it and grow from it, but don't sit there and dwell on it and allow it to continue to paralyze you or push you into this anxiety and panic and paralyzation to not be productive with a moment that you have. It's a complete waste of energy. And it only elevates the anxiety and brings forth that self fulfilling prophecy. Now, look, you also can use a self fulfilling prophecy in a great way with imagination to continue to envision your future in an amazing way. Just like, for example, I'm always updating my vision board and stuff. And you don't just put stuff on there and it magically attracts to you with you doing nothing. But by putting stuff there helps put it in your subconscious and it continues to give you hope of what you're going towards. And it helps make those goals and those dreams more clear. And like when I had a vision of having a pirate ship building for our company for individuals with developmental disabilities and making it amazing like a resort, I put up literally a pirate ship building. Excuse me. Woo! And people laughed at me like I was crazy. I love that. That's a great use of your imagination. That's using it in the right way. That self fulfilling prophecy became a reality over 2 years ago when we completed our freaking pirate ship building for our individuals with developmental disabilities, which overhangs the water. It's freaking amazing. But my point is, that's using your imagination in a healthy way. And part of that all comes with the way that we're wired with this kind of real anxiety type mindset that we have, which I've learned most of us that are creative, that are doing stuff, have forms of usually like anxiety, ADD, ADHD, all this other crap. But it's not all a bad thing. It's learning how to use it that helps us to have a different mindset and creativity and learning how to direct that energy towards our purpose, towards our dream, towards whatever it is that we want to be doing to be greater. Okay. The second thing now gets into awareness. So you've got the overthinking, and then the second thing is a key is the awareness. Oh my God, this is so important. When I started to actually learn that the thoughts, the crazy thoughts that come spiraling into my mind, you don't have full control over those. Random freaking thoughts are just going to come into your mind. And I used to give them way too much airplay. And then I'd sit there and argue with them when they'd come in and be like, and they still come in before I do a podcast like this. Like, Mark, who are you to think anyone's even going to want to listen to this anymore? And you don't have anything to say on fear and anxiety. You're still battling with it right now. You're having thoughts right now. You're still having a panic attack. You are still having fear and doubt and worry about waking up and going to that meeting. And you want to teach other people how to do that? This crap still comes into our head. I'm letting you know, I'm being real with you. It doesn't go away, but you continue to get better at it and quicker, just like this example of being aware of it. And there are times where I'll sit there and start spiraling with it, but I'm way faster now at realizing, wait a second, these are random freaking thoughts. And the best analogy I ever have learned is when those thoughts come, imagine them like a balloon with helium. And when they come, you just let them go. You don't overthink on why am I thinking about this? What does this mean? Why am I thinking that I'm not good enough, that I can't talk on anxiety? Maybe I should, instead of doing that, it comes, Mark, you're not good enough to do this podcast tomorrow. Mark, you dropped speech class 3 times in college, which is true, by the way. Guess what? You dropped speech class 3 times in college, that little loop, boom, let it go. Mark, you're not good enough to, boom, let it go. You can't, boom, let it go. And then combine that with taking some type of action. Like I said, if it's, you can't, like right now, if it was the show, you're not good enough to get on, be on the show, you can't do, let it go, let it go, let it go. Take action by, okay, I'm going to freaking come in here, boom, turn the mic on, hit the record button. I'm taking action right now because I was having these thoughts right before I did this show, literally. And I'm taking action. And right now, as I'm doing this, I'm not hearing those thoughts. I'm not feeling those thoughts because I'm doing something. I'm talking to all of you right now. And it's crazy because it's like feels contradictory to everything that it should be. And each time you do this, it helps like build your confidence even more, which anxiety will make you feel like you can't ever have confidence, that people are born with confidence. So I want you to understand and be aware that you don't control these thoughts. They randomly come in. And another tool that you can use against them is to guard your mindset. Now, this is something you do have control over, of what you purposely allow into your subconscious. Now, if you're continually waking up and watching the news each day or each night, the 24-hour news that's constant negativity, sharing the worst of the worst all around the world, the economy's collapsing, there's wars going on, the whole world's ending, everything's awful, give up, oh my God, be on high alert. That seeps into your subconscious and goes down. I can feel it right now. My even talking about it, it'll start making your heart like adrenaline, like beating faster. And it can come up at any given moment. And that elevates your anxiety and it takes away your energy from putting it towards your dream and your purpose that you need to be using it for. So guarding your mindset, that's why I don't watch the freaking news. I see what I need to see. I'm really involved in business and stocks and a lot of other things. I'll watch something that I have to absolutely watch, like, because I'm so involved in stocks. If Mr. Fed F-face pal, I call him that because I don't love how much he's raised interest rates. But anyway, is talking about if they're going to be raising interest rates or not. and he's doing a Fed speech. I'll tune in just for a few brief minutes to get the clear facts of, are they going up? Are they going down? How does this apply or not apply to my stocks, different loans I have, my businesses, etc., blah, blah, blah. Get the facts, not a bunch of emotions, not 3,000 other people's stupid opinions, not 5,000 fabricated edits of crap that I don't need to hear. And then I turn it off. Just doing that, you might not even realize it. You may have the news or something playing ongoing in the background. That also has to do with the people that you're around, the stuff that you're hearing, the drama that's contagious. You've got to do everything you can to guard your mindset from all that, which you do have control. Something else that goes with this is there's mantras that I also do. When those voices and stuff come, the balloons, I said, you can't do this, Mark. You're not good enough for that. Oh my God. When I dropped speech class 3 times in college, and I was just starting to learn some of these things. At this point, I didn't even know like the balloon method and even that my thoughts weren't real. I didn't know that yet back then. But one thing I did have as a weapon was a mantra. Me personally, whatever you believe in, I believe in God and in Jesus, and that I have the power within me. With him in my heart means he's given me the power to do all things. I don't need any other human being to do anything for me. And that's been so empowering for me. That mantra, there's a Bible verse that says, I can do all things through Christ. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. So I'm like freaking out about, oh my God, I got this speech tomorrow. I'm going to have I've had panic attacks. What am I going to do to get through this? I have anxiety. People are going to think I'm crazy. I'm going to lose my mind. And I'd repeat it over and over. I can do all things through Christ. I can do all things through Christ. That means nothing is impossible through Christ. That means I can get through this speech class through Christ. I can do this. I'd continually repeat that without even knowing that that mantra was actually replacing those thoughts intentionally with real thoughts that were becoming a positive, self-fulfilling prophecy. And then there was a book I read, I think it was Think and Grow Rich. And I'll never forget, there's a mantra from that I've learned that I have repeated in my brain. It's been built in like a muscle over the past 20 years. I say it so much that when I start like having fear or worry or all those voices of anxiety, it comes on like boom, like without me even thinking about it. And it's, I am prosperous, I am courageous, I am success. I am prosperous, I am courageous, I am success. It's crazy because everything we do is like a muscle that we build. It's just like going to the gym and lifting weights. You have to start with the smaller weights. You have to go out of your comfort zone. You get sore, and then you keep doing it. You start lifting heavier weights. You can take on bigger problems. You get better at battling the war against fear and anxiety, but it never completely goes away. That's why you have to keep working out to stay in shape. You don't just work out for a year or two and then you have muscles and you're fully fit and in shape. You have to do it for life, but you get better at it. Then also, if you totally stop and regress, you'll start losing that muscle. You'll start getting out of shape. It's the same thing for your mind. I'm going to talk about that in another minute, about really going out of that comfort zone. But you're going to see here as I'm talking how everything interconnects. So you've got the overthinking, you've got the awareness, and I'm giving you the actual how to deal with these things. The next thing is breathing and exercise. I've had a lot of experts that could speak way more on full meditation, which I haven't mastered that totally yet, but I know the power of it. and breathing, but I can tell you some things that are quick that have worked phenomenally for me. Oh my God. Game changers and exercise, taking action, going right into exercise in these younger years when I started having this so freaking bad. Thank God I started going to the gym because I have a whole other story of being in trouble, being in jail, having multiple DUIs, doing drugs, selling drugs, almost dying. And as I was getting sober and away from that life, I started going to the gym and working out when I was like 18. And I didn't realize that that would become one of the most important things in my life that combats against anxiety and makes me feel better and even gives me more energy. And it helps put all that extra cluster of energy the way we're wired with our ADD and anxiety. And we're always thinking, which needs, we've got to put that energy towards something productive. And it's crazy because even just yesterday, I had a workout class. It's this fit class where they have it like 100 degrees in there. Shout out to Yoga Joint, by the way. It's amazing. This one isn't yoga. It's weights mixed with cardio. They have it like dark in there. They turn it up to 100 degrees. It's called Fit 45 because for 45 minutes they kick your butt. They have you do the weights. They have you do like jumping jacks, burpees. Then you're lifting weights, doing shoulders, doing squats. It kicks your butt. But I was having that in my head, like, oh my God, you can't do this. Even though I've been doing this all the time. You What if you go in the same stupid crap that comes with me for 20 years? Oh my God, you shouldn't do this because now if you do that, you're going to be wasting time and you need to be putting just every excuse and taking action, being aware, letting those go. And then even just taking action of like getting in my car while those thoughts are still invading me, driving towards the place while I'm still having it. And it's like, you should turn around, you should go home, keep taking action, keep getting closer, pull up in front of the place, walk in. Next thing I know, I'm taking the class because I know every time I do it, I feel better afterwards. Every time I feel better afterwards, not just physically, but mentally. And it helps with my anxiety. The other thing is breathing. And excuse me, whoo. There's a simple one that I read about, thank God, back in the day. And the Navy SEALs use it. It's called box breathing. But one of the first things I learned by starting to do some research was making sure you're not just taking these shallow breaths like in your upper chest, like that helps. I don't know all the physiology, but it doesn't get like the full flow and oxygen flowing through you, which actually does help relax you. And if you like put your hand on your belly versus up here and try breathing in and let your hand down on your belly, feel it like going. Notice up here isn't rising. I know you can't see my belly now, but my belly's like sticking out and then and rather than the air just filling your lungs, you purposely learn to like let it go down and fill up like your belly, and that starts to increase all your blood flow and calming you. I forget what chemical it releases, but it releases this calming chemical. And that's the Navy SEALs and stuff do box breathing in the middle of these crazy and intense situations where they don't have much time. They may be in the middle of freaking combat and have a quick minute while they're like hiding behind a tree or something, and just so they're not losing their mind. The same with you if you're getting ready to go into that board meeting or you're like literally in the middle of one starting to have a panic attack, anxiety attack. You breathe in that belly breathing, and it's like for 4 seconds. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. You're breathing in, and then you hold it like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you slowly breathe out. And it's for 4 seconds. You slowly breathe out, and then you hold it for 4 more. It's like you slowly breathe out for 4, then you hold it 1, 2, 3, 4. And by hold it, I don't mean like, "Ugh," like you're like choking or holding your breath. It's just like you're releasing it. And then you're breathing in. If you're watching on camera, I'm doing a 4 count with my fingers. It's like you breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. You feel your belly get full. And then it's like you even hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you let it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. You're still letting it out. And it's called box breathing. You repeat that 4 times. So it's like you breathe it in 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like one side of the box. And then you kind of hold it 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you hold it for that 1, 2, 3, 4 while you're just slowly letting it out. And those 4, 4, 4 makes like a box. And then you repeat that 4 times. It doesn't take more than like a minute to go through that, and try it right now. It will immediately start to calm you. It will start to slow down those thoughts and pull you into the moment. And that's why the Navy SEALs do it when they're in the most like crazy and extreme situations. They've learned the science behind it literally works like that to start to change your physiology. Like, this is real, it's proven. I'm sharing with you guys the actual how. I'm not giving you a bunch of fluff here. Like I said, from dealing with this for over 20 freaking years, I still battle it, but I've won the freaking war because I don't let it stop me. The last thing I want to share to you, and this is so important, this goes with taking action while you're feeling the fear, the anxiety, the panic, and taking it even to another level and helping others. All right. So a lot of you obviously have heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, which people, soldiers that have been in war come back with it from having this crazy trauma, or people that have been through this horrible justified trauma in their life. And they can have this PTSD, and it's horrible. And they can get stuck. A lot of them, which I get, like it'll lead to alcoholism, drugs, sometimes suicide, sometimes just sitting at home, like in a ball, thinking like, what's wrong with me? I can't ever get, and they're just like stuck, and they're stuck in this trauma. And there's something else that they've learned. I've had people on my show talk about this. Eric Weinmeier, I think is his name. I hope I'm not butchering it. Eric, the first blind man to freaking summit Mount Everest. So much respect for that dude. He has 2 books out there, incredible. He's been on the show, and him and another blind guy kayaked down the freaking Grand Canyon, down the river there, all the way to where, I think starting in Colorado, all the way down to the freaking Gulf of Mexico, both of them being blind. It's amazing. But he learned about post-traumatic growth syndrome that he shared on my show. And basically, he started helping soldiers suffering with PTSD by having them summit up the mountain with him. The blind dude is actually leading them. It's incredible. And by him doing that, they're having talks. It's like therapeutic. And then he starts having them taking other groups of soldiers with PTSD to summit Mount Everest. And what they learned was where they had the post-traumatic stress syndrome, the synapses and stuff start re-bridging and reconnecting in a new way by helping others, by doing things, and it starts regrowing into what they call post-traumatic growth syndrome, to where that bridge where they thought you'd only be stuck in that trauma and stuff forever, it rebranches and it regrows and forms new connections in their brain and actually elevates their mindset and starts to bring a whole other version of themselves. It's freaking amazing. Like this guy, he's now a multiple best-selling author, helping millions of people all over the world, and has proven this. And so what I'm talking about right here is taking the action, just like me right now on this show. I love all of you, and all of you that listen, all my followers, which my good man Billy Carson, I love it. He doesn't, it's not followers, you all are leaders that are listening to this, because you don't follow anyone like sheep. Those of you listening to this, all of the Elevating Beyond family here, you're all leaders. You're challenging yourself to grow, and you're leading yourself and you're leading other people by what you continue to do, even if you don't know it yet. And when you're feeling so stuck, like, oh my God, I can't help anyone, I'm worthless, I can't do this, you pick up a phone and you call maybe that one other friend that you know is really struggling with something. Maybe you share some stuff with them, like, man, I just listened to this podcast with this Mark dude, Elevating Beyond, and I know you struggle with anxiety a lot and panic attacks and stuff like I do. And he was saying this thing about like being aware of your thoughts and how you don't have full control over your thoughts. And that's actually okay. And you can like let them go. And what's crazy is, even though every voice in your head will be saying you don't think you're not good enough to help them, you're broken yourself. Guess what? Everyone is freaking broken. But helping people while you're broken not only is the most amazing thing because you're giving and you're helping others, it's also helping fix you. That post-traumatic growth syndrome. Me doing these shows is challenging myself out of my comfort zone every time I do them. And I'm so grateful for every message I get from all of you saying how it helps you, how that you were battling this and listening to the show helped you. And without you even knowing it, it's therapeutic to me. You're all helping me. All of you leaders are helping me. This is freaking therapeutic to me because I'm also able to be like, I dropped speech class 3 times. I was that dude that I used to think was a loser that couldn't do anything. And I'm out there speaking. And if I can do it, so can all of you. And that becomes my why. And so this other part of helping others and then tapping into your why, which I just gave you an example of, pushes you to go back and take action when you're overthinking, like I was talking about. When you're using worry is a misuse of your imagination and you're overthinking, I can't do this, or you're pulling into the past and like staying stuck there and feeling like you can't go anywhere, then you continue to tap into your why. And it's like, wait a second, I told so and so that I was going to be calling them, and I started helping them with the anxiety that they're facing. So I can't give up on them. I can't give up on myself, because then they would follow my example and I'm helping them and it's bigger than me. And you have to remember, even write it down, your why list. Like if I was to give up and let anxiety and fear and doubt and panic win this battle, and I was to just quit on all my dreams, on all my purpose of being a husband, even of being a wife, of being a great father, a great mother, a great sibling, whatever it is. If I was to just give up, a business owner, who would suffer from this? And you start going through your list. I'll start writing it out. Like if I gave up, we serve over 100 individuals with developmental disabilities. They would suffer if I gave up and let this anxiety win. I have over 30 employees and team members, and we're growing. Actually, more than that, including with my other teams, with my CPA, with a podcast, with a show, more like over 40. They're all counting on me, and they all have families that are counting on them, on the income they make through what we do, through what I do with my company. If I was to give up, my wife's counting on me. My 5 children are counting on me. Yes, I always include my nephew, BK, who we've took in since she was 9, my guy. If I was to give up, and you keep going down the list, and I've done this before. I had a big speaking events. Oh my God. I still get nervous and anxiety before all of them. But just like anything, the more you practice it, it's just like those weights. Confidence is a muscle. I'm able to be here talking on the show now because I've done it hundreds of freaking times. And I still get nervous. I still get anxious before all of it. And if I never got any type of anxiety or fear at all, that would be a little bit of a red flag, because that would mean that I had become to a point of just total melancholy, and it would be like I don't even care anymore. And by the way, we go through phases of that, those of us that really get it, that have that OCD, anxiety, ADHD, where you have the ups and downs, and then you can go through those periods of almost just with this weird numbness. I'll have to do a whole other show on that, on different tactics to overcome that. But it's kind of crazy. It all coincides still a lot with everything that I'm sharing here. It just feels different. And so many of our feelings aren't really real, just like those thoughts that come and go in your head. They come and they go. Your feelings come and go, but you continue to take action while you're having the freaking anxiety, while you're having the fear, while you're having the doubt. And you become courageous while taking action. You continually overcome your anxiety, literally, that you're having while taking action. When I go out there on stage to speak and I'm feeling like the night before I can't do this, I'm like having that panic attack, like being in that cave I was talking about at the beginning, the underground cave. It's getting tighter and tighter, squeezing me in. I feel like I can't breathe. My heart, I'm literally backstage. I can hear them from the speaker before me, and they're all clapping. I know I'm up next. You can't do this. I tap into that why. And God reminds me. I'm like, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave. I can't do this. You got the wrong guy, God. I didn't ever want the spotlight. Get me out of here. God says, Mark, you don't get to give up. This is not about you. This is about who I'm helping through you. This is about your purpose. You don't get to give up. Forget about your little anxiety. Forget about your little fear, your little doubt. This is bigger than all of that. And you go out there and you take action because it's bigger than you, and you realize that's your purpose. And it's so beautiful, because that's why I'm up here right now sharing all this with you as a testimony that if I can do it, that if I've had NFL players on my show, some of the cast from Breaking Bad, or so many other high performance Fortune 500 owners that you see externally, and they're sharing with me behind the scenes, sitting right here next to me before we're about to record. Mark, I'm like really nervous, like, bro, about doing this with you. And they're like you don't get it, Mark. Like, you're so naturally outgoing, but like I have like really bad anxiety, and I'm like, oh my God, like what? Like you? I'm like, first of all, I have insane anxiety that I've battled over the years at crazy levels. And I was just watching you on TV last night. You have it too? I'm like, that's freaking amazing. We need to talk about that and share it with others. That's the post-traumatic growth syndrome part. And they're like, wait, what? Really? I should tell. I'm like, we got to tell them, bro. You're going to give them hope, because the younger me watching you would have thought there's no way I could ever be like that dude on the show Breaking Bad, because I couldn't be this NFL player. They were just born with confidence and charisma, and they don't ever have fear and doubt and anxiety. So not true. And what's amazing is when you learn that you're not alone, because you're not, and that these amazing people and high performance people and Fortune 500 owners that I was just watching one of them speak at a stock shareholders meeting goes through it, and you realize they're still doing it even though they still have it like you and I. That means I can do it too. So listen, everyone, you all put the vote in. Thank you. You can do this. You can freaking do this together. You're not followers, you're leaders. We're all doing this together. We're freaking winning the war over fear and anxiety. So never settle. Never settle. Stop overthinking. Stop holding yourself back. Start taking action. Never settle. Never quit. You got this. You're freaking amazing. You are not alone. And keep elevating beyond. Boom.